Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ID update for September 2022, which is terrifying, utterly terrifying.
I know. We're that far already.
It is. The year is flying past. Now, usually this is where people at the start of a live stream go, "We've got a great show for you tonight. We've got this going on. We've got that going on." Yeah, we're not going to do that.
We've got a show going on. Today is going to exist.
That's
one that happens.
So for me, this is like thing number 3 for today. Joey has narrowly avoided death, only to become, plague ridden.
Definitely, yeah, that was great. So I went to Disney World right as a hurricane was showing up in Florida. We had to leave early, which we did, but if we didn't, we would have gotten stuck. And then I came back and was incredibly sick. So I went from one death to another. Go me.
So you are seeing the ID update just at, A-tier performance tonight.
Yeah.
There is a solid chance this will be a shorter episode than normal.
We might actually be able to break for the first time ever the 1 hour that we wanted to do originally.
Oh, right. So yeah, partially because of all of this, but also I gotta be honest, the industry had a dull month.
Yeah.
Like individually, so I know some companies are like screaming like their hair's on fire about something they've done, but broadly speaking, it's pretty. It's been a pretty chill month.
Yeah, there's no real acquisitions, nothing major. I'm gonna look up. I'm just gonna see what companies been doing for releases, but
yeah, there's an acquisition I think we can have a little bit of a chat about, but nothing too major. But before we get into all that, let's roll that intro. There's only one place for the breaking news in the world of instructional design. The ID Update with Tom and Joe. All the news you never knew you never needed. Only on IDT. Yes. So let's do some initial chit chat. Anyway, how was Disney?
Disney's a blast. Disney was a ton of fun. It's more complex to do stuff than I thought.
Yeah,
because it's not like one park. It's 4 different parks.
Huh.
And you have to reserve them. So like you get passes for a period of time, but every day you actually have to reserve which park you're going to go to, and that's just so they can kind of control and have an understanding of what the population's going to be like.
I never knew that.
And then you can do half-day versions. There's it's called Park Hopper. So like at 2:00, wife's about to bring me some tea.
Excellent.
Oh, and it's got stuff. She's the queen. She's the best.
Nice. Keeping things moving there. That's the.
There we go. She's gonna slink out.
Don't make your wife slink around her own home.
She did that on her own. That was on her own. No, all right. So you can do a park hopper thing where you do like a half day.
Yeah.
So like I can get into Epcot and then I can go to Animal Kingdom, and do half days. So that was a lot more convoluted than I thought. And then like you can do like the speed up passes, which was actually great as far as being able to get in front of line. But even that was like a pain in the butt because you can only like reserve one at a time. So if you reserve like way the heck out, you kind of screwed yourself for the day, and it was weird. But outside of that though, it was really fun.
Cool.
The Star Wars area is awesome. Galaxy's Edge was a blast.
Does look fun.
That was about it. There's some really cool bars and whatnot there too.
There we go. Now we're on to the important stuff.
Yeah, the theme things that they do are second to none. Like we went to, and those are also things you can reserve. So we went to like Trader Sam's, which is that was like really like divey, small little shop that only has like 30, 40 spots in it at any given time. So you actually like really have to reserve for that. But like every time somebody orders a specialty drink, the whole place changes. So it's really dynamic. And then we also did the Star Wars Cantina, which was fire. That was so much fun.
That does sound cool.
And it looks very much like, it's decorated beautifully, and everyone's got their own special costumes, and yeah, it was that was a trip I was glad I was able to make.
Wow, that does sound awesome. I'm glad of that.
Mm.
So, back in the world of L&D, thought it might be nice to start with some shout outs for things that are rapidly coming down the road. At least initially, for those based in the UK, in the next couple of weeks, we've got World of Learning. We've got the Learning Tech Autumn Forum. If you're heading to World of Learning, give me a shout. I'll be there both days.
Nice.
I might try and record a podcast episode if you're around and I can grab a camera quick enough. Or I might just let you say hello and escape without being filmed. But yeah, do come and say hi. It'll be great fun. And then in November, we have got the Learning Network Connect conference coming up. This conference is going to be awesome. One day, center of London. It's in person. It's all about networking, talking. There are debating panels throughout the whole day. There are sponsored speaking sessions. We've got some amazing keynote speakers coming. Lunch is provided. Beer or wine at the end of the day is provided.
Now we're talking.
This is it. But it's a fantastic event. There is still time to get. Oh, there are still tickets available. Not there is still time to buy tickets. That sounds odd. What I'll do is I will drop a link in the description of this episode after the show, so that you can go find that. If in doubt, though, just go to the Learning Network website. The Learning Network's fantastic group. This is kind of the event that allows it to run for the whole year. So if you're in the area, or if you want to pop along, show your support, but also you'll get loads out of the day. So really great events coming up left, right, and centre. And we are also now officially in the early stages of planning of the third IDTX conference, which will be in February of 2023. So if you're watching this and you think I'd like to be involved this time around, get in touch. Because we're still very much figuring out exactly what the format's going to be, what it's going to look like, what we are and aren't going to do. So we are very much open to ideas at this stage and other people's involvement. So shout outs done. I thought it might be interesting to touch on a topic that we actually sort of skimmed last time and then went, it's been like 2.5 hours. We want to go to bed. Or certainly I wanted to go to bed.
Would you say we quietly quit it?
Kind of, yeah. That would be a fantastic segue if we only had a sponsor. So yeah, quiet quitting. Talking a bit, Joey. What are your kind of thoughts on it as a whole at the moment?
Oh man. First off, I wanted to see if it developed into anything that was meaningful, and it didn't. Because that's just how these things go. That's usually what happens when something starts on TikTok. Is they don't go anywhere, and it twists and converts into something else. I was weird on it to begin with, because the concern that I had was that it was setting a precedent for just not trying out of the gate. Like, there's no reason to go above and beyond unless somebody's willing to pay me for the above and beyond that I'm already doing. And that's what I was worried about. Thankfully, the thing just fizzled and died anyway. So, but there are some good things to be said from that. Like, I know as somebody who worked retail quite a bit, you get abused pretty often in the, hey, can you be an interim manager? Can you be an interim supervisor? Yeah. No. And that's kind of where quiet quitting was trying to get into, of like, you were asking for so much from me, but I'm just going to do my 15 pieces of flair, and that's it. I'm going to be done.
Oh, that's such a specific reference. I love it.
So it was very much the Office Space 15 pieces of flair versus 36.
Love it.
And that's kind of where I stood, is I was worried that was a slippery slope into just not trying. And it wasn't, but like...
Yeah. And I think, funny enough, like, I actually came at it from similar concerns, but actually from the total opposite direction. Is my concern was this was going to be used, and actually I think it still is, being used by businesses to somewhat demonize people doing what they are paid to do and no more. Because actually, that's what their job is.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for, and we've all done it, because we've wanted to move on in our careers, or we've wanted to do a project, or we just love what we do so much, or whatever it might be. We've all worked over, done extra, etc., etc. But increasingly, that is becoming an expectation.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can't just clock off when you're due to finish. It's like, I think you'll find I can.
I struggled with that. I did my 80 hours a week jobs that I shouldn't have done.
This is it. And like, part of me does. There's kind of two sides of this argument in my own head. Part of me says, well, I've always worked over. I'm one of those people where it's just like, hey, if it needs doing, I'm going to do it. I'm going to, all right, it's going to take me a couple of hours. What's a couple of hours at the end of the day?
Right.
But I do think increasingly we are seeing that it's not like it used to be. Because it used to be, even when I worked in retail, that I would stay late and do like a POS change for all the display stuff in the shops and would be there for 3 hours. But my manager would go out of their way to be like, hey, thank you. That was really useful. That was really helpful. Here's something for doing that. And it would never be money. Let's be clear. You're never getting paid for that in retail. But I don't know. He might buy me a McDonald's breakfast the next day when I'm in and tired because I was the one that stayed behind to do it. Or, just call it out. But I think increasingly that's not the case anymore. Retail seems to have become a very much just kind of, you will work all the hours and be paid none of the money. And, you will love us for it anyway because you're just lucky to have a job.
You can get into management. Oh, man. I was such...
And then be treated even
I tried
worse.
so hard to become a GameStop store manager. Like, that was like my dream. Nice. And I don't know why.
When you're
I'm looking
young,
around to see.
It's easy. You look at those positions and you think, oh, that'd be an amazing job, right?
Yeah, and it's not, by the way. Never is. Most things with manager aren't. I'm looking around just to see kind of what news is doing, and it's like slowly becoming some weird take on cancel culture. Like, I'm literally looking at an article that said brands are quitting Brett Favre, and I'm like, that's not a thing.
Yeah, I think
you can't like quiet quit a human.
Yeah, it's been one of those really remarkable phenomenons that has come out of nowhere and no actual meaning, become the totally dominant conversation across HR, L&D, recruitment, all this stuff, and then vanished all inside a month. Which, beyond specifically quiet quitting, should tell us something about what we're paying attention to in our industry.
Right.
This was able to literally, you could not go onto any L&D group or onto LinkedIn where you're an L&D person or anything like that without seeing everyone and their dog posting and talking about how really serious this was, whether they were for it, against it, whatever it was. No matter what you said, everyone was talking about it. And that's really worrying.
Because it's the similar, it's just the expansion, right, of where we were from COVID, of the I can take control. Like, it was an employee's market for a while.
Yeah.
I don't have to put up with this, I can leave. And you're going to see just how expendable I really was. Or I wasn't in most cases. And it's an empowering thing. It was designed to be an empowering thing. I still think the needle swung too far. I'm laughing as I look at something like it expanding now into quiet firing.
Oh god.
The notion that this is gonna get real good because we're gonna go right back to my old reference. The notion that some managers take on the passive practice of ignoring employee requests for better projects, promotions, higher pay, better schedules, and so on, with the hope that the dissatisfied employees will get fed up and choose to leave the company on their own accord.
I love it.
And we go right back to Office Space of like the stapler's mine, and we're gonna keep moving your desk. You're gonna be in the bay. You're gonna
and
be
then
in the
we'll
store.
just stop paying you.
Yeah. The thing is just that. So going back to retail, that was actually a trick that we used. That's a very common trick. Is you reduce hours. Like if you have somebody who you don't really have a good reason to fire, but just sucks, and you don't want to really go through that whole motion of like we're just gonna terminate you.
Yeah.
you wouldn't give them hours. You wouldn't give them the best of shifts, and you would be like, if you don't show up, you don't show up, in the hopes that they would either no call, no show, or do something that would be an actual act that you could terminate somebody on. This isn't new.
No, I think honestly, what I think this is it got jumped on because HR needed a thing. Like when we're in a world now where business functions need a thing to shout about. For L&D, it's often some bollocks about engagement or a new bit of technology or whatever's come around that they
A
want to shout
billion
about.
things we yell about on this chat.
Yeah, exactly. You know, for HR, there is very rarely a HR issue that is actually interesting to normal people.
Yeah, it's always like spur of the moment.
Yeah, this is it. This, I think, for the first time, certainly that I've really been paying attention to it. HR, it was all about HR. This was a huge thing. It was going to be businesses were going to have to adjust it and figure out how they were going to stop it or whether or not it was okay, and all this stuff was going on. And the one thing I'm left thinking now, how much money just got wasted? I wonder how much consulting and how many platforms and how many random initiatives got bought or started in businesses, all because of this quiet quitting wave that lasted all of 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, it still trickles in. Like I'm looking, what is this from September 6th, 2022? Gallup poll finds quiet quitters make up at least 50% of the US workforce. But they're really like, let's see. Here's their proportions. Because here's where it's going to get real wild is what do you actually define as quitting?
Yeah.
Like quietly quitting. What do you define as minimum viable person?
Yeah.
Your MVP. So according to this, US employee engagement took another step backwards. Proportion of engaged workers remaining at 32%, proportion of actively disengaged increasing to 18%. So it looks like just engagement. What are you engaged in?
And this is it. This is why I don't get why everyone was treating this as if it was somehow going to be the human capital apocalypse of business. Guess what? People have never liked their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually quite enjoy what I do for a living. If I didn't have to work, I would quit tomorrow. Like, let's not, if I had enough money to never have to work again, why the hell would I? Doesn't matter how much I love my job. I would go and do something I love infinitely more because it's not work. I think we've kind of got to this point where we have this unrealistic expectation that if we just try hard enough, everyone will love their job. And it's just insane.
Yeah. We were talking about it, I think last time or the time before of if it's fun, then it's not work. I forgot it was 2 times ago. I was like, it's work. Shut up.
This is it. I because it's just like that. The point you say like 50% of the US workforce is quietly quitting. But then when we realize that all quietly quitting means is just doing their job, that's a great stat. If 50% of the workforce is just doing its job, well, how dare they?
Yeah.
How outrageous!
If doing the thing you were hired for is a low bar, again, I'm gonna go back to retail. That's a hard bar to clear.
This is it.
So they expanded on this. The percentage of engaged employees under the age of 35 dropped by 6 percentage points. Again, I'm curious what they mean by the word engaged. Because we have that struggle with what the word engage means in L&D. Young workers have dropped 10 or more points in the percentage who strongly agree that someone cares about them, someone encourages their development, and they have opportunities to learn and grow. I like that. That's a good takeaway.
Yep.
Fully remote and hybrid young workers dropped 12 points in strong agreement that someone encourages their development. I'm amazed that's only 12.
I know.
I guess it's dropped 12 from whatever the previous one is. I don't know what the previous ones were. But that's something that we've talked about we talked about last time that 91% from that the poll that you had
yes.
of like professionalization.
Yes,
Professionalization. It's been a long month.
It
and
has been.
we were also very amazed that we were at the end of it. Anyway, disturbingly less than 4 in 10 young remote or hybrid employees clearly know what's expected of them at work. That one's dumb, I think, but
Yeah.
I don't know on that one.
I mean, all of these do kind of point the arrow in one direction, don't they? It's not the damn employees. Clearly, we've just got loads of crap managers.
Oh, I'm gonna point the camera because it's literally all right. This is gonna be funny.
Oh,
Right, here's where we are.
yeah.
Disturbingly less than 4 in 10. Right there, right?
Yep.
Right here. Right there. Literally the next thing. It's clear that quiet quitting is a symptom of poor management.
Yeah, this is it's kind of unavoidable. So your people feel like no one cares about them. Your people feel like they don't know what they're supposed to do. Their people feel like you're not investing in their development. Well, aren't you shit? Basically, is what this means.
Right.
If you're seeing a rise of people going, cool, I'll do my job, but that's on you, not on them.
You know, at the end of the day, now I'm thinking about it, maybe that's just the fascination with management that happened around the time that I was getting started.
Mm.
Like, I wanted to be a manager. Even the last couple of years, I really wanted to go into L&D management, and I learned that I hated it. And I wonder how many people just say, well, I've got that position, and now I'm here, and they just stay even though it's not a passion for them.
Yeah.
Because I had some crap managers in the last 3 years in L&D, and it's why I've been moving my way away from it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just the natural way that this was going to lead of you really shouldn't have been a manager. Well, everybody told me that I should be.
This is it. And this is why actually I'm quite a proponent of managers that don't manage people in their own field. Because I don't some of the best managers, not all of them, but some of the best managers I've had have been great managers because they don't do what I do. What they're really good
Yeah.
at is managing people and all the bollocks that goes along with that. Return to works and checking everyone's feeling okay and addressing disputes between individuals. I don't need them to be an expert in what me and the team do. I need them
sense.
to be a fantastic people manager. And that's a completely different skill set. Nowhere, let's say it's a team of e-learning developers. Nowhere in the e-learning developer skill set are the skills to be a good team leader. They are two completely different roles. Now, can one become the other? 100% they can. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's not inherent. Being a great developer does not make you suitable to lead the team. People management is a skill set. Like
that's
any
also
other
micromanage, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm not going to look at the thing that you're doing and say, oh, this doesn't meet my standards. Well, you don't know what my standards are.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that would have saved some time. That would have saved a couple of my positions.
This is it. And I think this is and I get the challenge of this, right? Because some people refuse to respect a manager that can't do what they do. But that I still think is actually the manager's fault because they should be explaining what value they bring and why it's a good thing.
Yeah,
but
I would agree with
that. I'm sure it's not universal. I'm sure there are jobs where it is essential that the team leader is an expert in the field. I don't think it's as often as we find that to be the case. You know?
Yeah, I disagree.
Like I know I'm regularly in the case where I wish I didn't used to do what the people I now manage do. It makes it very difficult sometimes to not go, well, just do it this way. It's like, no, because it's not me doing it. That's not helpful, Tom. Shut up. You know, you have to let people do the work and then just manage the team. It's quite difficult sometimes when you've been in the job, right? Because you're always gonna in your head be the person that should jump on that and just do it. And that's difficult to not sort of succumb to and just dive in.
We got people in Twitch. Look at that. I'm now like catching up a chat and whatnot, which is low because we didn't really push this too much. But
oh, I've got Phil in YouTube. Hey Phil, thanks for joining. I'm so sorry, Twitch chat. We never get people in Twitch chat, so I didn't even open it. So hello Twitch. Feel that on a personal level. Yeah. Cool. There we are. Twitch has forgiven me. Excellent.
There we go.
Cool beans. So yeah, I think it's tricky, and I think this is kind of where L&D's gone horrendously wrong. We spend well, just think about how much time we've all spent in our careers doing leadership training.
Oh my God.
Because leadership is for some reason inherently better than management. But then we wonder why none of our managers are good. It's because they're all trying to be leaders rather than manage people. We have this obsession with leadership training.
I've read one book on leadership, which is the 360-degree leader, and it's actually a good one of how to like basically not be a jerk no matter where you are. Like how to lead people up, how to lead people down on the food chain.
Yeah.
And I liked that book. But yeah, I've had enough jobs where they ask about leadership training, and it's check boxes.
Yeah.
Like that's what they are. That's what every leadership training is. It's a series of check boxes that don't work because everyone's different. Because they were never really like try to be sympathetic and empathetic outside of be sympathetic and be empathetic, but like they never really gave you the scenarios or like the ability to adapt to that. Like adapting was not a thing in leadership training, which was odd.
Considering it's the skill that every leader and manager needs. I would argue, in fact, if you've got that one, you can kind of figure the rest out. You know, because it basically boils down to roll with it and don't be a dick. Like, nail those two, you're going to be a brilliant manager.
That goes to Reese's question. Do you think having a manager that isn't related to your job could lead to unreal expectations like workload or deadlines and stuff? If they have the sympathy, empathy thing down, no. Their job is to understand, hey, I know, like, no matter what, no matter where you are in the food chain, you got to know your place. And if you don't know your place, you're crap in that position. Yeah. Period. No matter where. And that's where I've had issues with managers of, hey, manager, your job was to do this thing. It's like, no, my job is to manage this. My job is to like manage this project. Your job is to manage this team.
Yeah.
My job is to manage this project. That's what led to my downfall at OrgView. Was I had a team who was like, hey, we're just managing you as a person, but they wanted to become the project manager kind of at will.
Yeah.
And just be like, well, since I've got more pull in the company, I'm going to do this thing my way. Like, no, that's not how this works. You've now betrayed my trust, and you derailed this project, and you did all of this. You took away all the work and stuff that I was trusted to do.
And I think actually on this particular point, I see it far more that someone who used to do it will try and push just naturally because you think you'll be like, that takes 3 days or that takes 5 days. Because in your head, that's how long it takes. That's how long it takes you. I'm guilty of this all the freaking time. And going, yeah, that's how long that takes. As if it's somehow a universal truth that my development speed, my writing speed, not my drawing speed, my painting speed, let's say, is the universal standard for everyone to abide by.
Whereas, and that's why Agile did story points, so that way it can be between like 30 seconds and 16 hours.
That's it.
And you do whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Whereas actually, as a manager coming in when you don't know, you're forced to have those conversations. So where's the workload at? How are we doing? How long is this going to take you? And I think that if you bring up Agile, I think this is one of the great strengths of Agile. Is that we're going to work in these sprints. X, Y, and Z bits of work need to be done inside a sprint. Collectively, are we agreeing this is doable before we start? Because then if someone's going, I've got concerns about X, Y, and Z. If someone's thinking there's this blocker and I know it's going to happen because it happened last time, they can flag it. To me, that's what really good people management and project management, then looks like. It's the sort of thing that an expert in the field manager will go, oh, no, that'll take me this amount of time, and therefore it will take everyone else this amount of time. Not universally. And like,
I don't want a good Agile point to come from that. Son of a gun.
I know.
Fine.
Properly implemented, Agile is a brilliant system. The issue is that only one time out of 1,000 is it properly implemented.
That's what DevOps is for. The whole concept of DevOps is to make up for the fact that Agile is broken. It's glorious.
Yeah,
You're familiar with that?
only sort of tangentially. Phil, who's in YouTube chat, will know all about it because he works in the world of product now.
Yeah. So agile was, agile's running sprints and scrums and whatnot. DevOps, we try to implement Dev. I forgot what company it was. We implemented DevOps because we realized that one of the blockers we had was that nobody could actually agree on the bigger vision, because everything was chopped up so much that nobody even got to have a conversation of what the kitchen should look like.
Yeah.
They were just too focused on which cooks were in it and what they were doing. And that's what DevOps does, is it says, hey, how about we lay out the kitchen first, and then we'll go and do the sprints and the agile. I'm like, really? Are you kidding?
I feel like it's tricky because to me, it seems like that is very much shaped by what stage of development your organization is at. Because it feels like at day one, there's probably going to be a pretty strong kind of this is what we're moving towards. And then you start the whole process. The issue being that once you're in the process, it becomes more and more difficult to pull out of it and take that longer view again, right?
Yeah.
You've got to really build in those hard stops to go, whoa, hold on a minute, pull back, look at that classic kind of work on the business, not in the business kind of terminology we used to use.
And that's like that. They literally have entire positions purely based on agile implementation.
And I mean, to an extent, that's great because these things should evolve. It shouldn't be that this is agile and this is it, and you implement it and you just follow this pattern all the time. In the same way that people managers shouldn't go, this is how I people manage, and everyone will just get on with it.
Right.
You have to adapt, you have to evolve as time goes on and situations change. I can see Phil's in the chat. Yeah, DevOps is all about. Oh, nearly knocked my drink over there. DevOps is all about efficiency. Similar thing of product ops around. Oh, that's quite. I've not heard of product ops before. That's cool. That's and I think this is increasingly where we're going to have to take more of a steer from. Is the worlds of kind of product design and proper project management, not L&D project management, where we go, you've got Trello, cool, product managed.
Just because that's how I always did it. Shut up.
Yeah.
I still do it.
But and thing is, if it's a relatively small or manageable or curtailed project, that can work. But we all kind of know that once there's 30 people involved, Trello becomes a steaming pile. Sorry, Trello lovers out there, it just does. And not particularly because there's a problem with Trello, but because humans are using it. And so they'll put shit places. And it won't be the right place, or they'll just add something, or they'll edit. This stuff just happens, and that's
public forums are bad. If
this
you want
is
structure.
it. Underneath it, you've got to have a really strong framework of managers that actually know what is going on, both at a project level, but also at a people level. And again, that's another downside of kind of having the expert manager. They will always be looking at the project, because the people are not what they are. That's not what brought them here. They're here because they love whatever they're an expert in. Whereas someone who is an expert people manager will almost certainly be there because they love people.
And they love Trello is Kanban. So yeah, I'm looking at Phil's comment. Trello supports Kanban over Scrum or Agile. All it is Kanban.
Yeah. This is it.
No, I like that. Like, I'm looking at the, solving quite quitting crisis and symptom of poor management, and basically everything that I've ever seen and everything we've ever really talked about. And I'm going back to my customer satisfaction surveys working for companies, and everything is that there's a clear disconnect between management and not.
Yeah.
And it's always in those companies where management were just amplified levels of the job. What's the Peter principle? I think it's Peter. Yeah, the Peter principle. I'm going to confirm that. It's either Peter or Paul. Which is weird. I know they're both biblical. Okay. It's called the Peter principle. It's called the Peter principle. Peter principle is basically getting yourself promoted to a point of respective incompetence.
Love it.
And that's exactly what we're essentially talking about. Like, I'm really good at X thing, and I'm going to continue my career in X thing. And this is literally with me with L&D. I'm going to be real transparent. I'm a crappy L&D manager. Let's say a different word. Whatever. It's a family show. I was a real bad L&D manager. And I own that because I'm really good at development and putting things together. And naturally, I want to increase my career in that, but there's eventually a point where the L&D development stuff is not my job anymore.
Yeah.
But that's just the track that I'm on if I want to keep moving up. And the Peter principle basically says there is a point where I become irrelevant in the role that I'm in because I've promoted myself outside of my specialization. That was what happened to me. I became an L&D manager. I didn't get to do the development stuff, and I sucked at the position. Even though it was an L&D management position, it's where you think we're gonna go. I was just bad at it.
Yeah.
That's what this is. That's what this whole thing is.
Yeah. And I think we've all seen this in every line of work, right? I've worked somewhere before where there was, among managers, it was known that one of our strategies, if someone needed to be removed, was to promote them into a position where we knew they would fail.
Yeah.
And that's horrendous, just to put it out there. That's not okay. But it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. But it was also the fact that someone would accept a promotion knowing that they were struggling. And I think it's because it's kind of been ingrained in all of us for a very long time that forward motion in our career is always a good thing, that we should pursue it.
The way that I put that was forward is not the same as upward.
Okay, yes, no, you are correct. Yes, I should say upward, not forward.
Yeah, because that's where I screwed up. Is I wanted to move forward, and I was like upward. No, bad. That would have been great, just ending somewhere.
This is it, and I feel like we kind of get pushed into that. You should always, even moving forwards in your career, we kind of get told that you should always be looking to move forwards or up or whichever direction. Probably not backwards or down, but you know,
college is good for you. All those other lies we were told as kids.
All these, but again, we're kind of it's pushed on everyone as if it is a universal truth, and it's not. Like, I know people that have worked in the call center for 20 years, and they will be perfectly happy with their lives if they are working in a call center in another 20 years. And that's great.
As long as it sustains their lifestyle, and that's not a problem.
This is it. That's it. I think we kind of have to embrace a little bit in the L&D world that they aren't, whether it's a quiet quitter or a middler or any of these things, those people are the reason businesses keep running. They just sit there and they've got loads of experience and they do their job and they go home and they blow their check on, I don't know, whatever the hell garden gnomes, let's say. They collect garden gnomes and their lawn is just covered in them.
So maybe the solve to all of this is just going back to that, which is going to sound real pathetic, but kind of like do what you love, find what you love, and just stick to it. Which seems to be real simple.
Yeah.
Because that was the other thing. That was like, hey, when you find the job you love, that was the whole reason. Like, I had to decide things in college was what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
And never really was it manager. Fun fact, I actually wanted to be between a pilot and a scientist. I don't know why.
Nice.
But both of those were my things. But as a kid, nobody ever, I never remember being asked, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it was something where I was managing pilots.
No.
For managing animators. Like, I wanted to do animation. Cool. You want to be a manager of animators? Like, that's not what I said.
What does that look like? Mostly signing off overtime. This is it. It's
all the things you get excited to be as a kid, it gets ingrained that's great and all. And then the second you enter the workforce, it's like, all right, how do we get you into leadership and management or that type of thing? And you're like, that's not what I wanted to do.
This is it. Reese works in a call center doing instructional design.
It was my first job. First job in ID, call center release trainer.
So, yeah,
that's actually where I learned what an instructional designer was.
Yeah, I know, right?
because we hired one.
That's it.
She went by Bruno, which is a weird name for like a short little woman. Bruno is not where I would have gone.
Yeah.
But whatever. We called her Bruno. But she taught me a whole bunch of stuff that I actually carried with me quite a bit. Like the most important thing I ever learned was like how to write questions. And I was like, is this what your job is? She's like, yeah, it's kind of my job to know this stuff because you guys do it wrong. I'm like, harsh but fair.
I had this exact conversation with someone today. It's like,
What,
we
writing
can't do
questions?
this. Why? These questions are bad. So, but all the questions that I thought they were really good questions. No, that they are questions. They have question marks at the end, but these are bad questions from an ID point of view.
As well as bad answers, right? The bad answer thing is always great.
This is
Option A is 2 words. Option B is 3 words. Option C is 14 words. Option D is all of the above. I'm like, die.
Yeah.
Die.
This is it.
I don't even need to know the question. I know what the answer is.
Oh dear me. But yes, funny enough, actually, call center is where me and Phil worked together when we first met. So literally, I think almost everyone here is a call center L&D veteran or currently there.
I call it retail for adults. It's the same drama as retail. Everyone's just older.
So should know better.
Right, and they don't.
This is it. I would actually suggest it gets worse, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it very much does.
But I actually think call centers are underrated environments in which L&D can thrive, because you have a surprisingly captive audience.
Oh God, yeah. Any chance
like,
to get them off the phone?
They'll love it. Absolutely.
Oh man.
But also, how quickly can you see results? Like if you do something, you should see the next call. You've not got to wait, for a 3-month bloody sales funnel to go through and no, the next call after your training, you want to start seeing a change.
I still leverage the things that I did at Constant Contact as kind of like my greatest successes in my training career, and it works. Like that's how I learned about feedback and how to get tangible feedback outside of stupid surveys, because call centers are all about their ticket categorization. Good ones, right? So you can do ID and you can tie the things you're teaching to ticket categories to determine whether or not those categories are going down or going up. Yeah. You can tie those things to that category and the amount of time that was spent on the call. You can tie training and documentation and KB effectiveness based on how many touch points a ticket had that referenced a specific article. Like, hey, this person had a question on X. We sent them this article. Did that resolve the issue? If it didn't, how many touch points did it take to resolve said article? Did you reference any other articles? There's so much data. Because they're sticklers for that kind of stuff, because you get the benefit of what most companies don't give you, which is a workforce management team.
Yeah.
And having a workforce management team working directly with your training team and being like, here's all the stuff that worked for us. Oh man, I could cut off every ounce of my resume after Constant Contact for training and probably still get a job talking about my experiences with it. It was great.
I think you also get variety. That's the thing. There's so much that you need to do in that environment as an L&D function. There is so many things that will be calling out for your help. So many things you can impact.
And different audiences doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because that was the issue. It's depending on the call center, depending on if you're just a support company, if you're just a support call center, if you've got like a sales group. Because that's what Constant Contact had, was they had support and they had sales. Support loved getting off the phone and doing training. Sales hated getting off the phone. Loathed it to pieces. Because you're taking away their money. So I had to come up with a system that said, how do I get you off the phone and give you enough time to learn something, but actually get you engaged in the time that I spend with you?
Yeah.
And it was amazing to actually figure that out. I actually learned their system, and it's the one I still use for training today, which was spin. I use spin marketing in training now, where I get whoever I'm talking to have the conversation with themselves about the implications of something being done poorly. Yeah. Which is why you've heard me say it before. My favorite question is, what is the implication of training done wrong? That's a spin selling mechanic. But yeah, I cut down a 2-hour release training into a half hour for sales, and we use spin marketing for everything. And they were like, "We love this half hour. Thank you for everything. We're gonna go back."
Yeah.
We're gonna go back and we're gonna rock it. And then workforce management says, "Hey, we sold on XYZ features and categories." Oh man, I feel like if you're an instructional designer in a call center, I think the sky's the limit for you. Absolutely. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Loads to be done, always more opportunity, and one of the few businesses that actually do what you want businesses to do: gather data, want to use it.
Need to use it. Need to freaking use it, because they're the CPH, calls per hour things, and all of those. You have to better it, or your company just dies, and everyone's going to be looking for training, because training is the only way that you reduce those things.
No, absolutely. It's exciting place to be.
Oh, reach out if you ever want to chat call center stuff. I love talking about that experience.
There we go. There's a show lined up right there.
Pretty much.
Call center L&D. Cool.
We haven't really talked about. We talked so much about it, like how it's done wrong. We haven't really talked about like what feels right in L&D. That'll be a fun episode. Like let's build the perfect L&D engine in a company. Like, this is how I would want this is how I want to structure the L&D team. This is what they would do. This is who they would work with, and this is how the company would support them and how they would support the company. I'd love to craft that.
That sounds good.
That'd be a fun one.
There we go. There's an episode coming at you at some point in the future.
Yeah. Breeze. I don't have good here. I'm gonna put it in YouTube, and then Tom, you put it up on the screen. Cool. I'm just gonna put my email. I don't know if I can put my email up on YouTube. I think it's gonna yell at me. We'll find out.
I mean, if not, if it does, you can always just share your LinkedIn or something.
Yeah. Hit me up on LinkedIn or jasonard@trainingisblank.com. Shoot me an email. Because there were a ton of tricks.
Here come the bots. There you go. Does Google really listen in and transcribe well? If they do, Joey's inbox is going to be full tomorrow.
That's fine. I'll take it. I don't get enough email.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, Reese, definitely reach out, because I think genuinely this could be a really interesting conversation. Like field specific. We often don't get to that level, certainly in these conversations, unless someone brings it up on these quieter shows, which is really nice actually, to dig into it, because it's easy to forget. Like once you move, certainly for me, like once I moved on from a call center environment, I have to actively think back to it. But whenever I do, I think, wow, like the variety, the challenge, but also the measurable successes, the amount of learning that went on when I was there, just in terms of what I think about learning, what does and doesn't work. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. We put it together, 2-hour training and schedule for 400 people in 7 weeks. And I'm thinking, was like, when did anything ever get accomplished in 7 weeks in any job after that?
Yeah, this is it. I think it's one of the things people, when they go, oh, it's fast paced, and you go, okay, so what's the turnaround? They go, oh yeah, it's fine, I've worked in the call center. Because where everything was due yesterday.
Right.
But it's got to work because everyone can see the data. So you can't hide your poor performance when you work in that environment. Awesome. So
South Africa, Reese, how cool is that?
That's very cool.
I just got my LinkedIn connection. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's, man. Now I feel bad as much as I've like ripped on elements of that job. Like I got paid nothing. That was always my joke of, they were like, hey, we really like what you do. How would you like to make not enough money and do that full time? I'm like, I'd love to make not enough money and do that full time. But now, like, man, that was like the best job I've had in training.
Do you know what? I feel like it's a job where at the time I couldn't quite see how good it was.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, like some of that is rose tinted glasses. The money was not enough, and sometimes people were stressful, and sometimes the business was just doing insane things.
Right.
But on the whole, I would say a formative experience, character building, if nothing else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
character building.
let's let's move on a little bit. There's a couple of tech things that I think are a little bit interesting before we bring our shorter than usual show to a close. Let's start with a bit of a sad one. Adobe has eaten Figma.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, I thought this was quite sad, to be honest. Adobe being exactly what Adobe is. And I always thought Figma was such a fantastic platform. Don't get me wrong, businesses aren't your friends. We've discussed all this before. Every business is in it for the money, otherwise it wouldn't be a business, it would be a charity, etc., etc., etc. But Figma did a phenomenal job in a very small period of time of managing to outmaneuver every other player in that market.
Yeah.
Considering the amount of time and money Adobe threw at XD, and there is, but you think pretty much every space Adobe goes into, it becomes a market leader because it goes, we're going to have all the money, all the people, and all the marketing. Bam. It's very difficult to beat them. Like, arguably, there are better video editors, animation tools, audio editors, everything in the Creative Cloud suite can be beaten by something else out there. Yet, Adobe is just the standard in every creative application.
It's like Storyline. Like,
exactly.
Beat them, even though they're the Walmart of tools.
This
$20 billion to acquire Figma, but they did say they're going to keep the freemium. There's at least that. For all of the 2 seconds, I expect that to be true.
Well, I think this is the case. Like, no one takes, or very rarely does a business buy another business and immediately bulldoze everything and start again.
Right.
What happens is gradual alteration. So the things I expect to see, for instance, is that paid packages will get more expensive. I expect to see really exciting, in big inverted commas, integrations with Adobe Creative Suite stuff that help no one except Adobe push you to use their stuff for all your creative crap.
Suck it, Bridge. I don't care. Bridge sucks. I hate you, Bridge.
I bet. But Bridge had its moment in like the late 90s, early 2000s, where it was incredibly useful because computer filing systems were just garbage. And so you needed something to manage your metadata. And then Windows just kind of went, oh yeah, file organization. That would be a great idea. Sorted it out.
Can you at least not put it by save as? Can you at least do that?
Oh dear.
That's a big win of, oh, you meant to save this. I'm sorry. Let's use all of your resources for nothing that you're going to close immediately. No, you're not wrong. Like the freemium version is just going to get worse and worse. Like the divide's going to get unmanageable, and eventually they're going to give you some sort of probably introductory or like baby tier.
Yeah, this is my concern. Whereas at the minute, like, I know there are a lot of just universally free Figma users. So that, I mean, I pay for a license. I use it quite a bit now. Like, I don't think I'm going to change tool because of it, because at the moment Figma is fine. Nor do I think everyone should. Like, they've not done anything wrong by selling to Adobe. Like, for them, happy days. If, quite frankly, if I'd have set it up and someone had gone, here's a couple of $1 billion, damn right I would have sold it. Then I would have got on a boat, gone somewhere, and never have been heard from again. And I'm amazed that, to their credit, they're not doing that. They still seem to be very involved, very in the business, which is very exciting. So there is a slim chance, I think, that they might have a positive effect on Adobe, because for the first time in quite a while, Adobe tried to beat this product and failed. They didn't even, it's not even like it was a close fought thing. Like, they were destroyed, like, by Figma. XD, like, professional use of Adobe XD is not a thing.
They're the Macromedia
exactly
of XD, which has a bizarre irony.
This is it. So I think there is a possibility that Adobe might turn to them and go, you seem to have found a model that works really well. How can we use this, given the fact that we are, whilst we are almost universally used, we are simultaneously almost universally hated as a company by our own users, Like, it's very rare you find a passionate Adobe user. Like, you find passionate creatives who use Adobe, but no one's there going, Adobe, yeah. Which is weird. Which is weird for creative software. Because, like, if you speak to someone who uses Blender, for example, they love Blender, and they're going to tell you all about Blender, and they're going to want to show you stuff. And the same is true of Inkscape, and the same is true of and the same is true of Figma. Yeah,
I'm looking at you like, Linux, yeah.
Yes. Let me tell you about why Linux is the ultimate operating system and why everyone should be forced to use it. But this is it. Adobe lost that a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is an opportunity for them to recapture that.
If they do it right, if they don't alienate.
That is the danger. Because, for instance, they recently purchased and integrated Frame.io, but then said practically nothing about it for some reason, despite the fact that Frame.io is freaking amazing. If you and your team deal with a lot of video content and you're using the Adobe platform to edit it and manage it and finish it and everything, it's amazing as a collaboration, an online storage tool, and a publication tool. But they just said nothing about it. They bought this incredible thing, spent all the time to integrate it directly into Premiere Pro, and then just went, That's my concern of what they might do with Figma.
Yeah.
They've got it, they'll shove it somewhere and go, meh, and move on.
Cross fingers. Well,
absolutely.
Speaking of Adobe and something that could be interesting, we're going to get to talk about Project Charm next month.
Yes.
Adobe Learning Summit, October 4th through 6th. They are doing signups for first hands-on opportunities at Project Charm. This Captivate replacement. It can be an upgrade. Removing it is an upgrade. So I'm just going to go with replacement.
Currently, I'm calling it polished. Yeah, they're polishing Captivate up. Nice shine on the surface.
Yeah, so you get it's the Project Charm test kitchen. So it's 2 sessions for an hour and a half piece. So I'm hoping as early even as next week we're going to be able to start seeing some Project Charm reactions. And I don't know, literally anything on this thing that has been a roller coaster of sadness and bad.
Yeah. I'm not. I'll be honest. Like, I want it to be awesome. I really do. And I don't know that it won't be, but all the pointers are that this is not.
This has all the signs of a blockbuster movie that keeps having its release date pushed.
Exactly. Yeah. There has been no positive news coming out of this in a very long time. Joey's back. There we go. There's been no positive news from this in a very long time. There was a big whiz bang when they first announced it, and then silence. And then it was sign up to be part of the beta, and we signed up and we heard nothing. And then it's a long time of nothing, and then everyone in that part of Adobe quits. Which was never a good sign. And then finally, they decide they're going to unveil their product at a paid-for in-person only event.
Yep. Register now. I'm searching info. Hey, I've seen like a screen of Project Charm, which looks like Captivate.
This is it. I mean, I haven't done that much, but I believe it is in person only, the event.
Yeah.
That bugs me. I'm not going to lie. As someone who's not in America,
they'll probably have like, it's probably because they have like machines that are set up with the thing.
I get it, but there's no reason they couldn't do a virtual session. Like, if they can show it to someone in person, assumably Adobe have mastered the idea of teleconferencing at this point, and could do a Zoom session. Given that this is a global industry, and assumably they would like a slice of said global industry, I feel like they are somewhat giving the finger to the rest of the world in this instance.
I went to a teleconference for Adobe. I'm reminding, when InDesign first came out, I was actually part of the teleconference.
So there we go. They have managed it in the past. They just couldn't manage it with their latest online digital learning tool.
AMC theater was great. Yeah, this doesn't look like it's gonna be much.
Yeah,
we'll see. I guess it'll be something, but there's at least a screenshot of this thing, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's not great. Like, it's the same stupid thing.
Oh, I mean, ultimately, as much as that's Captivate with the XD shell put on top of it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, and that was pretty much all it was ever going to be.
Figma take it over.
Well, I think the best thing they could do, in my opinion, is integrate the dynamic creative links like they have in their other stuff, so that you can actually properly integrate between. I'm calling it Captivate because Project Charm's a stupid name. From Captivate to Premiere Pro, or design in Figma and then push that directly to your Captivate instance and all that kind of stuff. To me, that would make sense. That would be useful. It would give me a reason to choose an Adobe product, because the strength of Adobe is the interconnectedness of its products.
Yes.
You know, I wouldn't use Premiere Pro ever at all if it didn't automatically link to After Effects and to Audition. There'd be no benefit to using it over any other video editor without that dynamic linking. And the same is true of all those other tools. That's their strength. So this always felt like an odd product because it doesn't have any of those benefits. It's just a bad slide-based e-learning tool at that point, with no redeeming quality. Yeah. This is it. But we shall see, I suppose. We shall see.
I know Kara's going to be there. There.
Yes,
the Learning Summit.
There will be a
needs assessment workshop. Oh, man, she's going to have fun with that one.
I know, right? I believe as well she's going to go into the difference between a needs assessment and needs analysis.
Oh man,
I'm just imagining a room split into two with people like grabbing chairs to fight each other.
Pay for that. That's worth the price of admission right there.
This is it. I think but it is great to see those kinds of topics actually getting a decent billing. Because let's be honest, it's really important. Needs analysis as a whole is important. The difference between needs analysis and needs assessment is important, but it's not exciting.
No.
You know, it's not, look at this mind-blowing VR experience. No, it's let's sit down and think.
Have ourselves a good sit.
Yeah, I think it's real tricky. It is. But we shall see what happens in the future, I guess. With all the Adobe stuff.
We'll have stuff to talk about next month.
Exactly. There will be plenty. You say that, they'll on the way in, Adobe will probably have them all sign NDAs. confiscate cameras the whole way around. Oh dear me. But
It's just a timeshare. That's all it is. It's just it's a timeshare presentation. It's Pennywise luring you in. I've got Project Charm down here in the sewer.
We all learn down here.
We all learn down here. That's Project Charm's new motto. We all learn down here. We did it.
Oh, there we go. That can be
it's Halloween themed.
Super. There we go. We can. We'll have you watch. That'll be the thumbnail next month when we're here going. Oh my god, what have they done?
Just Pennywise with a balloon with a big Adobe symbol on it.
Oh dear me.
Glorious.
So yeah, other than that, I mean, the tech space, I mean, I didn't really see much from the rest of the authoring tools. The actual technology space has gone freaking nuts this week. If you like your actual technology, computer components, go check the internet out. Everything has happened this week. New Intel CPUs, NVIDIA GPUs, AMD CPUs, Intel GPUs for the mid-end or mid-section coming in.
Yeah, I've got the lower end stuff. It does the job. I got a new laptop that's got kind of lower end GPU, but it does what I need it to do.
And this is why I get excited about it from an L&D perspective. We don't want the top end stuff. It's too expensive and we don't need it. What we need is really great mid-range stuff. And we've been lacking great mid-range for a long time. Whereas Intel's new GPUs, especially like the A770, which is their top-end GPU, but it targets like mid-range. Like that, because it's their top of the range, but it's like $360.
Oh, geez, that's nothing.
Bear in mind, great. NVIDIA launched its new or announced its new 4090, the current top end to their new lineup, $1,600. And there will be another Halo product on top of that because there always is.
I might as well go to the Adobe Learning Summit.
This is it. So yeah, no, that is, to me, that is the kind of technology, pricing, and performance that is exciting for us because it gives us what we want at a really good price. There's never been, I don't think, give it a month for everything to come out and hit stores and be tested, but I think it's going to be a very exciting year for building or upgrading PCs for our industry specifically. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So anything else from you, Joey, on the tech side? I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I mean, Storyline is pretty dead. You can keep track of third-party software components, neat, cute, whatever. Yeah. Camtasia added, they're really proud of this, and I was trying to think of like a single use case, and I only have one that's kind of embarrassing. They have a cursor image replace. So one of the things that Camtasia does really well when you screen record with Camtasia is they record the mouse on a separate track. So you can control it differently. So like my cursor, like I can smooth the cursor out, or I can remove it, or I can, put like a halo around it, or, it tracks its clicks. So I can literally actually even remove the cursor that I show from the screen, because that's just how that's how it records, which is real cool. So now you can do a cursor image replace. So I can take that cursor and replace it with something, and they have a whole bunch of different like avenues for it. And I was like, why would I ever use this? And the only thing that I came up with was back when I was a little kid watching the Disney sing-along videos, and you have the Mickey Mouse bouncing head going over the words. So now I can replace my arrow with the Mickey Mouse bouncing head. And that was the only use case that I could come up with.
That's phenomenal. I want to do that now. I want Disney sing-along trainings, everyone. That would be phenomenal.
I've wanted to do. I was thinking about doing actually a blog, not a blog, but like a video series, called "Stupid Stories and Storyline." Because I was helping somebody like last month or 2 months ago with some storyline basics. Things like triggers and just stuff that, like, when you've used it enough, it's just kind of ingrained in your head. But when you don't see it, it's hard to wrap your mind around the concept. So this one was one with like a branching type of thing of like you have to do these 3 things in order for this flag on a completely different screen to flip. Like you explore these 3 sections in order to move from this main section, which is a series of triggers, and that was hard for to wrap your mind around. So the way that I described it was I used Lightning McQueen from Cars, of like he wants to get past this red light, but in order for the red light to turn green, he's got to go to all these other red lights. And it was a stupid story. Like it made no sense but I just did it on the fly. But then I came up with the idea of stupid stories and storyline, teaching storyline with stupid stories. Of like half drunk. They don't make any sense, but like I want to show you how a trigger works, and we'll come up with some just terrible story on why a trigger would ever need to exist in this situation. And I thought that would be a lot of fun. And I might try to do some of that next month, because it was real fun coming up with just a stupid story to explain how triggers work. And it'll be like really unprofessional. Like I don't have to do. That's the fun part when your whole thing is like drunken stupid, is you don't really have to put a lot of emphasis on like the graphics and making things look
pretty. Phil just mentioned in the chat actually that apparently How Now just released a new content product.
How Now, Brown Cow?
I'm on their website. I mean, their website is stock image-tastic, which is exciting.
I don't even know How Now. Why How Now?
How Now? Because I know them as a. I'm sure they're not an LMS, but I'm going to call them an LMS because, sorry, you just are. Do you host learning content? Yes, then you can be an LMS, and if you want to brand yourself a whatever, an L whatever, you can do. Learning needs, collective brains, and their website is. I'm sorry, it's awful. Lots of
learning experience platform. Create, manage, and measure all of your learning and development in one beautiful platform.
Okay, can't find the content stuff though. Oh, hang on a minute. Did I just see compliance training? Oh, that took some finding. Let me share this. Let's go for a share, shall we? Screen.
Boom! I'm going to the side. Let's go. Oh, there we go. Bam! Over to the side.
Cool. So, being compliant doesn't need to be complicated. Cool. All good. Okay, so I don't really see any. I suspect, yeah, there's no examples of the content.
I've always liked the building as you scroll down, like the page builds itself. For some reason, I just like that little.
I like it. This just feels difficult. I can't quite put my finger on it. There isn't a unnerving amount of white. I think that might be part of it. Like I quite like minimalist design, but this is a lot of white.
They've got kerning on like every letter. Like their headlines are squished.
You're exactly right.
Just
it all just feels a little bit tight, doesn't it, in the middle?
Well, it's clearly for mobile, right?
Yeah, you've got to assume this would look great on a mobile device, just not quite so great on a 4K screen.
Yeah, no, this looks. I've shrunk it down. I've shrunk my window down to mobile size. It looks good on mobile.
Cool. Yeah, so I mean, this looks like it might be kind of like in-platform content. I can't really. Yeah, I'm guessing these here. Can you guys see my cursor? I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, I can see your cursor.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so I think this must be like an inline editor, basically. That's cool. I quite like that.
I like some of these. Some of these look neat.
Oh, here we go. Phil said they did a sneak peek conference 2 days ago, so might not be an example. Ah, that makes sense. Yeah. But talk was resources. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. And what I might do is might put a video up, just taking a look at that because their platform seems interesting. Like I wouldn't say it's anything markedly different. I don't think so far compared to what's out there.
Right.
But I think their website is very, very bought into this look and feel. But like it looks like it's simple, clean, easy to use. Clearly, uses a lot of integrations.
Why do I know this name? I want to look you up.
But yeah, so we shall check that out in some more detail in another video. I think because that's interesting. I'm always quite interested when platform providers go into the content space, because it's a big move to go right. That's it. We're gonna give content a go. It's a totally different kind of set of requirements. Totally different people needed. So yeah, exciting stuff, man. Exciting.
Yeah, always fun to see new tools.
Definitely. I think we might be at the end of the show.
I think so too. Boom. Still can crack an hour. Still an hour 20, but whatever.
Closer than usual. So I would just like to say thank you everyone for joining us. It's a pleasure as always to spend Friday evening with you. Remember, tickets for the Learning Network Connect are on sale now. Now is the time to go and buy the full. Showdown is the wrong term. The full session plan was revealed today, so you can see exactly who was speaking. So if you are around in the UK, it would be amazing if you could come and join us. In the meantime, check out the channel. There's some more videos coming out this week. There may now be one about How Now, Brown Cow, and their content. That may even end up being the name because I quite like that. It's quite funny.
How do you not think that, like, initially, you immediately see how, like, why would you name this How Now?
Yeah. It is an interesting name, I got to be honest. My lasting memory of them is at Learning Tech this year, and I don't mean this to be disparaging in any way. It just sticks in my memory because it stood out so much. And they had clearly bought like the amped up, ready to go American sales team. At the start of the day when we were all going at our stands, wishing we hadn't drunk so much the night before, they were there going 3, 2, 1, how now, and all together in the middle and arms in the air, and they're gonna speak to every customer, we're gonna close every da, 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 da. It's like, wow, I think I would just collapse if I was required to put that much energy in at this time of the morning. This otherwise very British exhibition hall was just like, yeah, no.
Something I didn't know. Brown cow is an 18th century description for a barrel of beer.
Well, there we go.
Apparently.
On that
Brown
note,
cow is in fact themed.
There we are. Well, on that note, it's been a pleasure. Thank you all for another month.
I drank my tea, so water. I've been sick, so you notice we didn't really talk the beer thing earlier. Sick. Not sorry.
In fairness, I did say that I was going to have tea as well, but then my wife had bought me beer specially, and so I was going to drink it.
We'll do the beer next time.
If I drink it now, I'm not just drinking at home alone. I'm drinking as part of the show mechanic. So that's okay.
Yeah, I need to record videos so I have excuses to drink.
I know, right?
At home.
Oh dear. Anyway, we shall see you all again next month. Thank you all massively for being here. Until next time, have fun.
Cheers, everybody.